and this is lunch at the Nerds Table. So this is my idea for a lunchtime live stream, and hopefully it'll take off. If not, uh, no big deal. But I thought that live streaming might be a fun idea. Um, I am trying to record it and get a better picture with my phone, and then I'm going to keep an eye on the chat here on my laptop. So um, I am noticing that there's an ad going on there, so I apologize for that. So let's see if I'm seeing myself in real time. It's a little bit delayed. So if you type something in the chat, then it might take me a few minutes or a few seconds to actually catch up to it. So anyway, welcome to you guys that are a part of this one. Again, this is something that I'm just kind of testing out. I really don't know how to work all the controls and everything yet on YouTube, and like having your comments show up here on the screen. That might be something that with a little practice I get better at. So a few topics I want to talk about today. One is I've got something besides Ghostbusters on today. Today is opening day in Major League Baseball. I'm a huge baseball fan. My team is the Texas Rangers, and I've been following them since around. I've been going to games since I was a little kid, but really got into it around 1994 and 95. And then right after that, they started winning division championships in the late 90s. And I was all in high school. My main, um, basically, source of socialization um, centered around the Rangers. And that's where I spent all my money. That was my main hobby. I collected the jerseys, and this is a Pudge Rodriguez jersey. And I think that's really where I got started with having a eye for detail, or really wanting things to look authentic. Because like in the gift shop, they'd sell like the $20 shirts that would say the team name and a player's name on the back. I would get some of those just to have those around. But there would be some lower end uniform tops or jerseys, and I would rather pay top dollar and get one that looked like the one that the players wore on the field, that had the right patches on the sleeves, that had all the stitching on the lettering, um, everything that you would think a player on the field would have on his jersey. That's what I wanted on mine. I wanted the game used hats, the ones that matched the ones they were using on the field. I even had like the jackets they would wear on the cold days. So that's really where my snobby eye for detail, I guess you might say, really took off, and has led into kind of my reputation as one of the people in the Ghostbusters community that really wants to get the details right. Because I started off with my love for baseball, wanting to have my Rangers stuff look right as well. So it didn't just come out of nowhere with the proton packs. It's something that has developed over time, and that's an interesting thing that I thought about the other day. So I've got a closet here in the Ghostbusters room that's full of Rangers jerseys that I hardly ever get to wear. So I wanted to bust one out here today with Hall of Famer Pudge Rodriguez, one of the best catchers of all time. And just wanted to lead with that. So opening day is really fun. Everybody's starting with a clean slate. You never know where things might end by the end of the season. It might be the team that everybody picks that ends up in the playoffs and winning the World Series. It might be somebody that comes out of nowhere and is able to shock the world. So, um, we're open to anything, and that's kind of the cool thing about opening day, because you just don't know. So, if you have a favorite team or a favorite baseball player or a favorite baseball movie, then put that in the comments there in the chat, and we can, toss that around a little bit. As far as baseball movies, ones I like are Field of Dreams and The Natural. Those are my top two. Please tell me you enjoy the World Baseball Classic as much as I did. It was fun. I did. I was happy for Japan because I felt that they really, really wanted it more than the U.S. did. As far as at least the fan base did, I heard like 97% of the TVs in Japan were actually watching the game live as it went on, which is astounding. That's insane. So I'm really happy that Japan was able to win that game. I really wish that the U.S. would have more pitching that was able to play, because you see the guys that were pitching in the championship game, they were not the big names that you would expect from a U.S. based pitching roster. So maybe next time they'll be able to have field a better team and have more participation in that. But it does kind of stink that it only happens every 3 years. It's been 6 years since the last one because of the pandemic. So that is kind of one of the knocks on it. It'd be cool if it was every year, but I understand why they want to space it out a little bit. So hi to Cosmo, to Sol and Vega, to Masi. Appreciate you guys being here and being in the chat. If you're here and you haven't said anything, say hi in the chat so I can say hi back to you. I appreciate you guys being on. Feel that this will be like a low numbered type thing. I don't expect to have a whole lot of participation in this starting out. So I see there's like 7 online right now, and that's fine. I'm not worried about having big numbers on this. So Charlie Sheen's Major League Baseball movie. What was that? Yeah, Major League was the name of that one. That's a good one. It's more of a comedy than any of the other ones that I mentioned were. Let's see. Little Big League got number 1 because it portrayed the most accurate baseball plays as part of its story. Little Big League was good. Was that the one where it was the Minnesota Twins? Or was that the one where it was the Cubs? Which one am I thinking of? If it's the one the Minnesota, then one of the guys that actually played for the Rangers was in that movie, Kevin Elster, which was cool. But I'm not going to spend the whole time talking about baseball, but it is something I'm excited about and passionate about, and it's early. The season's just kicking off, so it's a fun time to be a baseball fan and to be interested in that kind of thing. I do have both of my packs behind me. This is my Finkman Hero from Ghostbusters 2, and then lab pack over here. I did a video yesterday about the Ion Arm end cap, and I did get that painted and weathered a little bit, so it might need a little bit more weathering, but I was working on my ghost trap as well. This is my 3D printed ghost trap. I finally did attempt to paint it. I'm not really good at spray painting things. I always get blobs and things that just don't look right and end up going back and sanding it off. I went ahead and put it together just to test fit it, but I am going to take these side panels off and repaint those. I have those sanded down now, so they're in the rest of the trap. And I don't have labels on here yet, but otherwise, it does have the metal plates on the side, aluminum, and now available from Charles Worth Designs, the guy that pretty much put this whole trap together and made the files for it and put them out there for free for anybody to be able to build. So if you guys are interested or you're a 3D printer, I highly recommend the Charles Worth Designs Ghost Trap. I'm still very new at it, so mine still have a lot of warts and ugly spots on it. I kind of butchered the vector plate a little bit here on the side, but I was able to kind of hide it a little bit. I still need to paint these side rods and the wheels here on the back, and again, put the labels on, and then I don't think I'm going to put the dry transfers. I'm going to leave it kind of blank here on the front. But that's my workbench thing to show you guys today. I did just put tape here for the doors. So that is just electric tape. And I might need to trim it a little bit more along the sides or get it to lay down a little bit more flat. But from a distance, it looks pretty slick. So I'm pretty happy with it. Again, as I get more into 3D printing, hopefully things start looking a little better, not having as many blemishes. And I do appreciate those of you who have messaged and emailed me to kind of give me some tips and things to try. So I am trying to work through some of that. Right now, I'm about to run some calibrations to get my print bed balanced the way I want it to be, because it's been a little bit frustrating lately. So, all right, let me take a look at the chat real quick. Let's see. If it wasn't for your channel, I would have never gotten into cosplaying Ghostbusters. Thanks for all you do. Hey, man, I really appreciate that. It's fun. Ghostbusters. People ask if I came up the other day. Somebody asked me if I was into cosplay, and I was like, I guess so. To me, I think if you talk about cosplay, you think more than one thing. Like, I'll be a Ghostbuster this time, or I'll be Marty McFly this time, or I'll be somebody from Jurassic Park the next time. Mixing things around, a character from Ninja Turtles, or a G.I. Joe character, or a Transformer, who knows? Ghostbusters is really all that I do, so I see myself as a big Ghostbusters fan who likes to put the suit together. And to me, if you're putting your own name on your uniform, are you really cosplaying, or are you really trying to be somebody that you're not? Or what's the word for it? Because if it isn't cosplay, then it's got to be something else, right? So I'm not exactly sure how to categorize that. Anyway, so let me get back to the chat. I need to purchase Ben & Kit's Matty Ghost Trap battery door with a V-hook attachment. The snacks were good. Hey, Wiggs, it's good to see you here. Thank you. Hopefully you got your stuff that you were trying to get taken care of when we were last talking on the email. Sorry that you had a little bump in the road there. Appreciate you know, hooking me up with the goodies there. I appreciate it. Let's see. Main reason I got into 3D printing was Ghostbusters, Sol and Vega. Yes. I bought a few things last year for my, what do you call it? Spirit pack. And yeah, it's called Dressing for the Job You Want. That's right, Ray. I bought a few 3D printed things, and then I got to thinking and looking around when it was time for Christmas time. You know, people are asking, what do you want for Christmas? And I found the Ender 3 V2 on sale on Walmart.com, and I was able to get that on a Black Friday deal. And so I was like, you know what? Let's try to start this, and maybe I can actually make my own things like a trap or a Real Ghostbusters proton pack, or like a slime blower, something big like that I would really struggle to be able to build on my own, where I might be able to 3D print a lot of those parts, or even have to buy those 3D printed parts from somebody else. Hey, if I can make them my own, then that would really work out better for me. So that was really the same idea that I had. I've got all these props and things that I want to do for Ghostbusters, and so definitely that's where my 3D printer ideas are going towards. I am going to try to make some better doors for my Real Ghostbusters Kenner Firehouse. I bought some on Etsy, and they're all right, but somebody just printed them out and didn't really clean it up very good. So I'm going to try to make my own and pay better attention to the details on it. So, all right, so 7 of you guys here in the chat. I appreciate you guys being here. I'm about halfway into it. I am going to cut this off 30 minutes in. So we've been talking about baseball and 3D printing and ghost traps. What I really wanted to get to for the main topic is the casting announcements that we got last week. from Ghost Corps officially announcing that we have 4 new characters in the new Ghostbusters movie, if we want to call it Firehouse. Um, I'm probably going to mispronounce his name. Kumail Nanjiani, and then Patton Oswalt, James Acaster, and Emily Ellen Lind, I think her name is. So I'm most familiar with Patton Oswalt, and the other 3 I'm kind of having to dig around a little bit with to learn more about. Patton Oswalt has been on TV and movies and done a lot of voiceover work lately, and a lot of stand-up stuff. So that's most where I've seen him is like stand-up, and then like on King of Queens, he was on that series back in the day. So I could see how he fits in there. Now Johnny, I know he's been in some big stuff, but I don't watch any of the Star Wars stuff, and I didn't see the Eternals movie that he was in, so I'm not familiar with anything that he's been in. I did ask my son, who watches Star Wars stuff on Disney Plus, and he said he's a really good actor, and so he's excited about that addition. James Acaster, I had no clue who he was, and so I started watching some of the stuff on YouTube that he's been featured on there in England and the UK. And some of it's pretty funny. I really dig some of his humor. He got a little vulgar on one of the stand-up things that he did, and it was, beyond where I really wanted to enjoy there. But we'll see where he kind of fits in and how his humor fits in. But check him out on YouTube if you don't know anything about him. Some of his stuff where he's on the panel shows are pretty funny. And as far as the 20-year-old young lady, I don't know anything about her. Just the picture that Ghostbusters News put up with all 4 of them and her in the bottom corner, she looked really evil in that picture. So that's where I want to kind of go with this conversation, having really not knowing anything about most of these people and how they fit. I'm curious how they're going to fit in the movie. So your mind kind of wanders into trying to plug them into places where you think they would fit into whatever story might be coming out. So I start off by thinking, okay, are they going to be any of them going to be Ghostbusters? I don't know. That one's kind of hard to tell. How might they fit into the other portions of the story? Let's go back to Afterlife and see what characters maybe you've mentioned but weren't actually seen or really shown or given a whole lot of details in the movie. So we have Phoebe and Trevor's dad. Gonna guess that Nanjiani is not gonna be him. Patton Oswalt is the same age as Paul Rudd, and so making that be something that matches up is a possibility, but I doubt it just because Patton Oswalt is really short, and the kids are already starting to grow quite a bit. I just don't think that would match up, but it's a possibility. James Acaster, some people have put it out there that maybe he would be Oscar, if we go back to Ghostbusters 2, wondering if Oscar is going to be involved in this one because the ages kind of line up a little bit. His father did move to Europe in the movie, so what if he went to live in Europe and grew up and had the British accent? Then that character might have that accent. I don't know so much about that. That's one that Proton Charging was throwing out there, so Chris Stewart was at least tossing that idea around. Another in Afterlife, at the end, we did have Winston mentioning his company being built with only one employee. Is one of these people going to be the employee that helped Winston start his company? And I could see either Nanjiani or Patton Oswalt fitting that spot. And then one of these people is probably going to be, I would think, um, if not the antagonist. My stomach is really growling, so this is lunch at the Nerds table, and I haven't had lunch, so I apologize. Maybe one of them will be the antagonist or a pawn, kind of like Janos Poha was in Ghostbusters 2. That's a possibility. And then the young lady in it, she's the same age as Trevor, as Finn Wolfhard in real life. So is maybe that a potential, he's looking again about finding a young lady to match up with. And then maybe she, again, in that picture, she looked evil. She looked like kind of had a rotten soul or something. So I could see her as somebody that would have a connection to something that would lead to the ghost portion of the story in some way. And then again, how does this fit with them filming in the UK? Is it just because they're using it as a backdrop for New York? All they said when they talked about moving back to the firehouse is where we're picking up where we left off. It doesn't mean they're going to stay there. So if they start at the firehouse, then maybe, things could travel and they end up in a different location like the UK. I don't know. At first I was thinking, okay, it's going to fill that void and not have to film actually in New York all that much, and they can save money kind of like they did filming in Canada, even though it was based in Oklahoma. That's a possibility, but then when you cast a character or an actor that is British and you're filming there, then that doesn't seem to be as much of a coincidence. So that's something that I'm curious about as well. Let me take out the chat. You guys are really going at it, so let me back up just a second. Again, I don't know how to put this all up on the screen, so I apologize. Understand why there was such a silly lashing out of Patton Oswalt being cast. Patton Oswalt is a big Ghostbusters fan. Like when Harold Ramis passed away, he said some of the nicest things of any celebrity. So he totally respects Ramis in particular. And he said we wouldn't have comedy that we have today if it wasn't for Harold Ramis. And then he had the great line when Harold passed away that if a Twinkie represents the normal amount of grief I have when someone passes away, a Twinkie, what was it? Like Harold Ramis is passing would be a Twinkie. What was it? I'm failing. 600 feet long, weighing 3,000 pounds. I don't remember what the actual numbers were, but he had it nailed. So, again, it's been a while since I watched the movie, so sue me for not getting it exactly right. All right, we've got a Magnolia Clothier's Ghostbusters boots and jumpsuit coming. Yeah, Paul Rudd does look 10 years younger compared to Patton Oswalt, and so Paul Rudd can play a 45-year-old, whereas that's not as easy for Oswalt. A lot of these guys, you're wondering if they're going to be Ghostbusters or if they fit into these categories of other people that I've mentioned. They're probably going to be something completely different that are written into the script that doesn't fit into the mold of what we would put out there and connect all the dots. The world is a big place, and they don't all have to fit in a lineage and be tight all together. Stuff happens from the outside, people come from the outside and can affect the story that way. So it doesn't have to be Phoebe's dad or this person that worked for Winston or Winston's kids or Oscar or Phoebe's or Callie's mom, anything like that. Those are things where we do have holes in the story, but it doesn't necessarily mean that any of the actors we see coming up are automatically going to fill those spots. So, Looks like Cosmo's having spaghetti for lunch. Thank you for joining us at lunch at the Nerds Table. Solon, why do you think one of the actors is going to play a banker? That's curious. Very specific. To be filming all the way up, and that only gives them like a 5.5 month turnaround to be able to put it all together, edit it, and then do all the promotions and stuff. Anyway, a lot of British villains in American movies. That is true, and it's funny in like the Jesus movies too. They all speak with a British accent, even the ones that we watch over here. For some reason, that's more biblical to have a British accent. I always poke fun at that. I've got like 3 or 4 minutes left, so one of the last things I want to talk about is saving up money, because when Ghostbusters is in the cycle of putting out movies and material and media, that's when the product shows up. And that's when our pocketbooks and our wallets are emptying out. Right now, we're kind of in a lull. There isn't a whole lot out there. There aren't action figures on the shelves. There aren't really a whole lot of t-shirts or anything cool to buy right now. Start saving up your money now, because if we are truly just 9 months away from a new Ghostbusters movie coming out, we are on the verge of having a lot of cool stuff that we're going to want to buy available for us. And so start planning for that, maybe a little bit off of every paycheck, put it aside so that when those cool things do pop up, then you're not really putting yourself in a bind being able to buy the cool stuff that you want to get. I don't know exactly what's going to come out, but I imagine with not only a new movie, the potential for the Netflix series and TV and movie going on there, the animated feature, there's going to be stuff that we want to buy, and it might be coming soon. It might be closer to December, but it's a good idea to, again, save up a little bit, shave off a little bit off of every paycheck or every month, and just put $20 away, put $30 away, so that when that action figure does show up and it's $25 on the shelf at Walmart or Target, you're good to go. You don't have to worry about, oh, am I going to have to, miss a meal or something. I don't know that any of us are in that situation, but it's a good idea. So it's kind of easy when we're not in the real midst of it to get lulled into not thinking about the stuff that we're going to want to get. But when it does show up, you're like, oh, and then you might not be able to afford everything you want to get because it'll all hit at once. And if it's going to be around Christmas time, then again, that's when a lot of us have money devoted to buying gifts and going to parties and doing things with family. That's going to cost money too. And so it'll be hard to kind of budget your Ghostbusters obsession and collection if you have some of the other family type things too that you have to plan for. So I've got about a minute left. We ended up with I think about 14 people at the most here. So I do appreciate everybody that was able to show up here. Hit a like on this one before it closes out, if you wouldn't mind. That'll help me out. If this is something that you think would be fun to continue and do like on a weekly or every 2 weeks basis, I'm open to it. But if it's something that you'd rather watch me in the standalone videos, and that feedback helps me as well. So if I'm just new at this, so I'm not great at it yet. If you would rather watch more of the videos where you see my normal thing, let me know. If you like this, let me know. I appreciate it. My 30 minutes is up. Hope you enjoyed your lunch, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye.